Hello everybody, Rick with Let's Level Up, and today we're going to be looking at Saar Shai's game, The Agents. Now, this is a very fast-paced game for 2 to 4 players, where you essentially have to rally your faction of agents to score victory points. What makes this game truly unique and fun is that there is a rotating card mechanic where each side of an agent, which is what you're going to be playing, has either ability to give you points or give your enemy an ability to use, or vice versa. So there's a lot of things going on in the game where people are playing and making compromises with one another to try to maximize their benefits while making sure that they're not giving their opponent the edges that they don't need. Now, this was a huge Kickstarter success. And now it's back on Kickstarter, actually, for a micro expansion and a component upgrade. So kind of what they're calling a Mark II version of the Agents. I've had the chance recently to sit down and play the Agents with a few people. Everybody that I've played it with has really enjoyed the game. I think it's a game that's a lot of fun. I had some initial concerns about this game, and mainly around some of the feedback I heard on Twitter after the initial campaign is sent. After speaking with Saar about this, he assures me that there shouldn't be any shipping issues and that he's going to make sure that the packaging, you get a package like this, which is really nice and sturdy, and make sure that everything is nice and bundled together, shrink wrapped, so that there's not going to be any damages in shipping this time around. And from what I've heard from other reviewers and from different people on Twitter, anything that was damaged has been fixed. So Saar has maintained a high level of customer satisfaction that way. And this Kickstarter is actually already funded as of tonight, which is great. So now it's just a matter of unlocking a bunch of stretch goals. So the Agents, you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. If you're already a fan of the Agents, you can look forward to this campaign because it has an interesting component upgrade, which is what I really like. I'm not a huge fan of the stock of cards that comes in this that I played. So hopefully that gets tweaked a bit and it gets a little less slippery. With sleeves, it's a non-issue, but these are kind of a bit smaller size cards, so they're not 100% full-size playing cards. Let's take a look at this game on the table, and I can show you just very briefly how it is played and what some of the new benefits are to the expansions. Okay, here's some of the stuff you're going to get with this version of the Agents. We've got a few different expansion sets here that are going to be included with this, and we'll go over that a bit briefly. We also are going to have 2 new types of missions that are going to be able to be added to our mission deck, but primarily we're going to have 3 things, really 4 things. Each faction set is going to have a safe house, which is going to start the faction. We're going to have a deck full of agents, a deck full of missions, and a deck full of points. Now, essentially, we're going to be playing this very fast-paced game to try to acquire 50 points. Once the first player hits 50 points, game is over. They win the game, and then we go on and you play again. It's a very fast-paced, high-tension game, which again, I really like that aspect of it. It kind of gives you a little bit of an adrenaline rush when you're trying to play it, and just making sure that you're going to make the right move and hope that your opponent doesn't see something on the board that you're not. So almost chess-like in its ability. It's going to have a very simple mechanic, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to zoom in and show you both the safe house card and 2 different types of agents and what's going to happen with them. What we have here is the safe house. Now you'll notice that this is the beginning of our faction, right? It'll be in the middle of our cards, and we'll either play cards to the left or to the right of this to fill out our faction. Now a faction is composed of agents, and you can only have so many members on a faction in a given line. Now if you're playing a multiplayer game, you can actually play cards to the left and to the right of you. If you're playing a 2-player game, essentially both players will play onto the same faction. Now you'll see here what we have are 2 halves of data points, 1 black and 1 white, with an arrow pointing a certain direction. Essentially, the player who the arrow is pointing at is going to be able to get that point if this data point is complete. Now, if this was complete here of black, that'd be 2 points. If the white one was complete, that'd be another 2 points. If they are half and half, meaning 1 half black, 1 half white, that's worth 1 point. Now, the agents that come into play are going to be two-sided. So we can see here we've got the gunner, and the gunner has a half a black data point, which again will be paired along with something like that. And it also has an ability here. So when I play an agent, what I'm going to do is choose the direction to play this agent. So if I wanted to give my opponent the points in this case, I could play it like this. The agent is also going to have an ability here. So if I don't get the points, or if I don't play it to get the points, I'm also giving myself the ability, whatever this is. And maybe that ability is rotate a different agent, or something like that. This particular gunner's ability is kill any agent in your other faction. So if I'm playing this onto the right and my other faction is to the left, I can kill any agent in that faction, even if I didn't play that agent. If I have multiple agents in a line and I kill the one in the middle, all the other ones are going to shift down and to form whatever the line is. So really what I'm doing is I'm giving myself the choice. I can either give myself points or give myself an ability. Whatever I do, my opponent is going to get the opposite effect. And that's something that's very important in this game and actually very, very critical in how we play. It's always about giving decisions, making decisions, giving a player the opportunity. The other type of agents I'm calling one-shot agents. Essentially, these are played and then discarded after the end of the turn. It has a data point already completed. In this case, the undercover is worth 3 points. And it has the ability, if I don't want the points, I can say turn any agent in any faction. And basically, when it says turn, we're basically flipping it around so that now the points are being distributed elsewhere. An important thing to note here is that this ability only activates when the card first comes out, unless I want to spend one of my actions to reactivate the ability. So if an agent turns, it's not necessarily going to reactivate unless I spend the action to do so. So what we're going to be doing here is throughout the game is collecting additional agents to play, collecting missions, which we'll get to here in just one sec, and then trying to acquire the most points. These are mission cards, and these are going to give us a certain amount of points once we have a certain condition met. For instance, this one says 2 agents with the same ability facing me in this faction, or rather facing you in this faction. So this is a fairly specific one, but it's going to be worth points, and we'll be able to get points based on any of these missions that we have. We're going to start the game with 2 missions, and then from there we're going to be able to kind of expand out and hopefully get more missions. We can always buy more missions by spending our hard-earned victory points and getting that and agents and things as the game progresses. Now the expansion pack is going to come with, of course, everything you see here, depending on what Kickstarter goals you pick within this. But it's also going to have the ability to get some additional things. There are 2 different types of missions now that you can get along with your base. There are Black Ops missions, and these, you can see, it's again kind of the same thing. You're going to get 1 point for each matching data token facing the opposite player in this faction. Here's Gun to the Head. It says every time you cause another player to activate a command, you're going to get 2 points. So Black Ops are kind of almost like suicide missions almost. You know, you're gaining points by doing things you shouldn't strategically be trying to do. This says level the playing field. This says the opposite player has an agent with the same ability in both of their factions. You get 3 points for that. Surveillance is going to be equal to 1 point. It says for each mission the opposite player has assigned in their factions. So that's a pretty good one. And then outnumbered, this opposite player with more agents in this faction than their other one. And then finally, I think Lockdown's the last one. Lockdown says no other player activated a command this turn. And commands are going to be set with our commanders, which we'll get into after we look at the other types of missions, which are critical missions. So we'll just go through a couple of these here, and these again are critical missions. But this is a witness, and this is every time a command is reactivated, either of your factions, even off turn. Casualties count. This is there are dead agents in both of your factions. The switch, a pair of agents facing away from each other in your factions. So you can see here that these are, and I'm not quite sure why these are separate decks. It seems to me that these could just be expanded missions decks. Maybe it's so that we can particularly, if we're not playing with commanders, obviously the commander missions aren't going to do us any good. But these critical missions, again, they're just top secret. They're meant to be put in with the rest of our missions. So we've talked a little bit about them before, but these are our commanders, and commanders will actually allow us to get special abilities to do on our turn. Now, there are a couple different ways for us to do this. Either the player who goes last can pick their first commander, and then you go back in ascending order or descending order until finally the player who goes first is going to pick last. Or each player can choose randomly what their commander is. So you can see here we have Commander Worth, and he says start the game with 3 more IPs, 1 more mission, and 2 more agents. Commander Clout says buying agents and missions cost 1 IP less than their price. Commander Edge, for each matching and completed data token rewards, gain an extra victory point. Commander Swipe, instead of buying an agent, you may steal it from another player. This one's very powerful. Commander Just, reactivating any command facing can always influence the other faction. Commander Peak, when buying an agent or mission, you may look at the top 3 cards and pick one rather than just taking the top 1. And Commander Foray, you may place any agent inside any of your factions. And then back to Worth. So, I mean, the commanders are very powerful creatures that are going to come out. They're not going to technically be agents, so they're not going to get you any victory points, but they're going to allow you to tweak your game so that way you're getting the most out of what you're playing. We also have a couple of different types of new agents. We also have secret agents, which are going to be new to this expansion. Again, they're going to be played just like normal agents, and they're going to be put just within the agent's deck, but they have kind of additional abilities here. This guy is worth 2 points or 4 with the same ability if this agent is in a faction you're and facing you at the end of the game. So it's going to have a conditional kind of mission built into this particular agent. And a lot of these secret agents will have those kind of things, except for things like the Interrogator, which again are those one-shot type missions. So these are pretty cool cards to throw in there again. Overall, my expectations to this game were matched and even a little bit exceeded. This is a terrific game to play. Again, I had some hesitations at first, not necessarily with the game because I've always heard really good things about it. It was more of the shipping and receiving that happened with the game. But again, all that has been, as far as I know, all of that has been taken care of, and Saar has made good on his promises and has upheld an excellent customer service and satisfaction, which kudos to you, Saar. That's very awesome of you, man. All in all, I think that if you're going to be a fan of the agents, you should definitely take a look at looking into this Kickstarter or finding a way to get some of these expansions, because they're just going to give you a little bit more flavor, especially with the commanders and the secret agents. I'm not a huge fan of the new missions per se, but I get it and I understand why they're there, and I look forward to playing with them a lot more in the future. Well, that's it for the agents. As you can see, Saar has got a really fun game, and it's one of those games that's so high-paced, so tactical, and so it has so many opportunities for strategy, which if you've seen this channel before, you know that's what we really look for in a game. So, Saar, you've got yourself a great game. I hope this Kickstarter is a success for you. You definitely have the Let's Level Up seal of approval. This is a game that I would consider to be one that if you're a fan of card-based strategy games, that this is a must-have. So definitely check it out if you are. If you're more of a Euro-style tabletop player, I don't know if you'll get too much bang for your buck on this, but this is still actually a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend that if you see a demo of it at your FLGS, to give it a look, because it may catch you by surprise. So that's it for Let's Level Up. My name again is Rick, and I hope you guys like this video. If so, please thumb it up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please follow us on all of our social media sites, which are all available at our website, www.letslevelup.net. Most importantly, game on.